Planning Commission meeting for June 12th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, roll.
Commissioner Cadwalder.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
Commissioner Salzweedl.
Here.
Commissioner T-Lander.
Here.
Commissioner Gerard.
Here.
Commissioner Zanstra.
Here.
And Chair Barker.
Here. Thank you, Sue. I'd like to welcome Nathan. And Nathan, your last name?
Maybe.
Heyman? Okay, thank you.
Not going to be a quiz later, is it?
No. Just like to welcome you.
Thank you.
And a full house tonight. Welcome, everybody. You just wanted to get out of the heat, didn't you guys? I would ask for a approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
And a second.
And any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Thank you. I would also ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, May 8th, 2017, regular meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes?
I'll support.
And any discussion? All in favor of accepting the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Thank you. No public here tonight. Old business. Zoning ordinance revisions. We've already accepted Chapter 4, and there is a complete Chapter 17 with all the changes in here. I would make this recommendation, and I'll ask for a motion here in a second, but I would make the recommendation that we not only, assuming we accept the Chapter 17, but we schedule a public hearing on the same day, August 14th of the August meeting, but we start the meeting at 6:30. So the public hearing would be at 6:30, our regular meeting would follow at 7 o'clock. Sue, does that work as far as scheduling goes?
Sure does.
Okay, it eliminates having two meetings in the month of August, number one. And that way we can do the public hearing. Assuming there are no major revisions there, then we can refer it to the city council and they will act one way or the other. So that gets us through two huge chapters and gets us well on the way of the zoning ordinance. So having said that, is there a motion to accept the zoning ordinance revision of Chapter 17 as written here?
I make a motion that we have the, do you want that or do you want the meeting?
No, that we accept the revision first.
Well, we've read it, we haven't discussed it.
Okay, do you have any, I would,
I don't have anything wrong with it.
okay, then let's make a motion to accept.
Discuss it.
Yeah, and then we'll do discussions.
I make a motion then that we accept Chapter 17 as written.
And second? Thank you, and discussion. Hearing no discussion, Sue, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cadwalder.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Yes.
Commissioner Salzweedl.
Yes.
Commissioner T-Lander.
Yes.
Commissioner Zanstra.
Yes.
Commissioner Gerard.
Yes.
And Chair Barker.
Yes. Now, having said that, is everybody in agreement that we do a public hearing on August 14th at 6:30?
Mhm.
Then I don't think we have to do anything outside of have Sue schedule that, correct? And that would be for the chapters 4 and 17 to update those two chapters. And we'll frame that in various ways, but that's the idea behind that. Because we have to do a public hearing for that. Okay, thank you. Then on to new business, we have a master plan review, and Andy gave us a two-page summary of the master plan review in the back of your notes. And I'd like to open this up to any discussions, if you all have had a chance to even look at it. I know I just got mine later on this afternoon. There are a couple of options here, and I think I'll just start off here real easily with Chapter 1, Demographics and Housing. There are a lot of updates that can be done based off the 2010 census. It's not something that we need to discuss necessarily, except for it should be brought to the attention of Williams and Works, obviously, and having those updates done. So that's one thing. And I don't want to get into a long discussion tonight on the master plan, but I think that whole chapter 1, demographics and housing, really is a case of updating the demographics as much as anything. Chapter 2, on the next page, there is existing conditions. And the third paragraph there may be some edits related to the city service such as water, wastewater, light, power, cable, parks, all of those kinds of things. Mike, right now we're doing a audit, are we not, of the city infrastructure?
That's correct. We're doing an audit of our sanitary and stormwater.
Right.
We're going to do a study of our water as well.
Okay, so all of that is in the mix right now. Do we have any timeline on that, when that might be completed?
I believe we just discussed this at our last council meeting. Probably about 18 months.
Okay, so ballpark of within 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Nathan, one of the questions I would have then, in lieu of that, is if we can add this, if we can adopt everything and then simply add the report into a master plan review, or edit it, or however that happens. You don't have to give me an answer tonight. If you have it, that's fine.
I'll talk to Andy. It might be able to be edited as an appendix, but if you're going to edit the text of the chapters, you'll need to still go through the amendment process.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
I can talk to Andy about that in more depth.
Okay. Because my thinking here is if we're updating this, we want to have obviously the latest information, but if we're not going to have it for 2 full years, we may want to add it 2 years from now. So that sort of thing, or 18 months, whenever we can get it. The other parts, there's not a whole lot of changes, obviously, but that one is. Chapter 3 are goals and objectives, and I would ask everybody on the commission to read those, because that's the part that Andy really is saying, hey, look, if you're going to change anything, this is probably what you're going to do. So my recommendation is to spend our time at our August 14th meeting talking about goals and objectives. There's a lot of them there that are probably just fine. Same with the future land use, chapter 4. Particularly the future land use map is what he's pointing out here. The downtown design guidelines and a lot of the implementation on chapter 5 were already done. And under chapter 5, number 4, Nathan, we've got a similar request there, the review and update the Parks and Recreation Plan. There's a new one being drafted in 2017. Can we add that? I mean, it's a similar situation. I mean, those are reports and additions that we as a planning commission are not going to do, but we are going to accept them into the report, which would make some sense. And finally, the other major conclusion that I got out of this, and I'll open it for discussion here in just a second, but the final one was the idea of, do we really want to do a new survey? Is that necessary at this point? Or if we do all of these updates, are we comfortable with what we have done? It's a fairly good chunk of stuff. The major idea is to make sure the goals and objectives reflect what we want to do in 2017. So there's been a fair amount of change in the city and on councils and commissions, and that's the whole idea behind it. So I would open it up for any other discussion from the commission tonight particularly. And or Mike, Sue, Nathan, wide open here.
In chapter 3 regarding goals and objectives, this objective stated that the community vision for the long term. Who is that community? Is it businessmen? Is it the community as a whole? I just can't believe it's us planning commissions, and how does all that information get back to central depository, so we can see what that looks like overall, Bruce.
Part of that was that survey that was taken back in that 2007 era. And then they had, I would assume they had a number of public discussions on it. I don't know the answer to that, Jim, but generally that's what it would be. And it does reflect, it should reflect the entire community, which is citizens, businesses, you know, governmental agencies, all of those kinds of things really should be reflected in that. But ultimately it is our decision, and then we plan it and we pass it on to the city council for adoption. So there's plenty of room there for change and alteration and all of those kinds of things. All I'm trying to do at this point is to make sure that we're covering what we want to cover and what the city would like to cover, what the city council would like to cover. So Mike, maybe that's a discussion you have with the city council. I don't know if you want to or not. It's up to you totally. But we won't do anything with this further really until August. But in August, we want to dive into this fairly well in depth and try to hammer out the goals and objectives.
Sure.
Because we want to get back to our zoning stuff in September. So that's kind of where we're going. We're trying to stay on our schedule here within a reasonable amount of time. But on the other hand, I don't want to race this through. If it's something that we need to take more time, we certainly will.
And I think, Alan, might be best if you mention in your council comments, see if there's anything the council wants to look at. I mean, I'm sure the council's going to be supportive of whatever the planning commission does with this. I don't see anything really jumping out
Right.
at council level, but
What we may want to do, and Sue, maybe you can help us here, is pass out the goals and objectives, the chapter 3, to the city council so that they can take a look at it physically. Because I'm sure they don't carry around their red book with them. It just seems to me as though that might be helpful for them.
sure.
Because obviously we want to have their input.
Yeah.
And frankly, if there's somebody at the DDA or any of the other major organizations that should get a look at that, Sue, you probably know the territory better than anybody around if you know somebody. The object is to get good input. And that's what we're trying to do. And we'll try to bring it all into focus at that August meeting. I think that makes some sense.
And with the announcement of the fair leaving too, that can change things for us. And Harry Beecham has a lot of good ideas. I'd love to have the Parks
Yeah.
and Rec Commission give some input to us, whether it's in the round or how we want to
Right.
approach that.
In the
Yeah.
August meeting?
Possibly.
Yeah, we can invite them all to the August meeting, and maybe that's the best situation, would be to invite those kinds of folks to the August meeting.
I believe that does cover parks and master plan,
Yeah.
all types and sizes.
Right. Yeah. To me,
What's
that,
growing, if soccer is now the top sport, how do we support that? I mean,
Yeah.
if things are constantly changing as, or what youths are doing, then we need to accommodate as those needs change. So I think that's what we discussed at
I
Might have
have,
been on 2012.
I have a very ignorant question to ask of Lowell history. Who owns the fairgrounds? The city or the fairgrounds?
City owns the property.
City owns it.
They own
So,
some of the buildings, but the property is the city's.
okay, so in 2020 is when they're projecting to move to Deer Run.
Right.
So the object would be that at that point, well before then, it would be nice to have some kind of discussion with the community on that. And that really belongs in this master plan. What are we looking at there? And it's fair ground. I mean, it's 3 years away. So it's fair ground to cover, I would say. And that certainly would involve, Parks and Rec, everybody.
The Lara Trail is projected to come through there a little bit, so
Yep.
there's just a lot of opportunity I see.
You could, farmer's market, an ice skating rink, a swimming pool, and, there's all kinds of things. Sculpture, park, there's all kinds of different things.
8 feet of.
My favorite would be a polo ground match, but, that's just my personal favorite. So does all of that make sense? Sue, can you make those contacts with
Sure.
those parties and invite them and give them that goals and objectives? Or give them these 2 sheets maybe, or 3 sheets, whatever. That's fine. The object though really is to try to coalesce where we know what we want and then know what questions we want to ask. I think that's probably an easier way of going for us.
And then invite them all to the August meeting?
Yes, yeah, or the representatives, whoever wants to come.
Okay.
Or the general public,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, more the merrier, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Fair enough? Good job. Okay. That takes care of the master feather sign discussion. And I'm going to open this up with Sue, Mike, whoever wants to.
Why don't you explain it?
Okay. I brought this to the council a couple weeks ago in regards to temporary signs, but mainly the feather signs. They're popping up all over the place. Feather signs are considered temporary, but you're only allowed one temporary sign. And the council referred it back to the commission to take a look at it and review it and come up with some ideas of how we want to handle this, whether or not we change the ordinance to allow 2 feather signs, or do we just, try and educate the businesses better and let them know that they're only allowed 1 per establishment. You don't want to discourage them because they're, trying to do their business and get people in there and let them know that they're here and open. However, we can't, just allow all of these temporary signs to go up. There's many that are putting them up without coming in and getting permits.
Sue, you mentioned that it would be if they contain advertising, and that only if they were that, they could be plain with no advertisement, or?
You can have the feather signs up with no advertisement on
And it
it.
still limits 1?
No, there's
Okay.
nothing in our ordinance that says you can only have 1.
Yes.
It's just
There's
that they
no
have-
advertisement, no writing. You can
Mhm.
have as many as you want.
Is that without a permit?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The permit is for when it's company specific and
Yes.
Yes.
Advertising.
I've seen some take a few down, I see a few more single ones, go by the car dealerships and they're pretty
Right.
prominent. And the same,
When I originally brought it up, there seemed to be more. Now I notice there's some that are taken down, but, the businesses are spending money, having these made, and it's
And that would fall under the temporary 30 days?
60
And
days.
60 days, then take it
Per
down.
calendar year.
Yeah.
What question, Sue? Most of the ones that I've seen, and I just kind of eyeballed it here over the last month or so, seem like they were new businesses. I mean, not necessarily new buildings, but new owners
Mm-hmm.
or new businesses going up. When a new owner comes into town, I mean, obviously it's their responsibility to know the laws here, on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, I'm wondering if it would be possible for the DDA, the city manager maybe, but maybe even the police, to send out a letter, kind of jawbone. I'm saying, in our city, this is our sign ordinance, and this is what is expected in our city. We're not going to, penalize anybody or do anything along that line. But if you have a sign, you need to get a permit before you put the sign up. You can only do certain things, and if you don't, then you'll be cited. That sort of approach is that we're not in the business of making it hard on these business people to make a decision. But on the other hand, they should not be putting us in a position where they're flaunting, our ordinances. And I'm just thinking that the DDA has, because they're all on Main Street. I mean, that's basically where they are. And if we simply let people know, how much is the cost for a permit? $25.
Yeah.
How many days can I have it up? Can I take it down and put it back up? That sort of thing. What if I have 700 feet of frontage? Can I have more than one sign than a person that only has 50 foot of frontage? That might be a change in the ordinance. That could be something that we might want to look at. it makes more sense if you have, a lot of frontage. Or can they go back on their property with feather signs?
4 years ago, we moved into 217. And I don't want to be part of the conversation. I'm just here representing me as a business owner now. We did not know of the sign ordinance, and nor did we ever consider asking what we could and couldn't have out front. The police chief came down and said, there's been a complaint and you are in violation. And we came down, we found out what the ordinances were at that point, and we've been in compliance ever since. But as a new business, you've got so much on your plate, you're never gonna ask that question, so.
Right. Yeah, to me, it's a case of really letting people know and allowing them, time to come into compliance and not penalizing them. But if they do it again, then you've got valid reason to. And that just seems to me to make more sense if we, and I would suspect, a lot of people, they may have been here 20 years. Well, they haven't done anything. And they see the signs going up and they say, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to go get 3 of those myself. And probably rightfully so. They might not know. But I think a gentle reminder from the city, the DDA, maybe a combination of the two, might be something that might make some sense. I don't think our ordinance necessarily is bad at this point. The only question I would have is if somebody has a lot of frontage. Car dealerships come to mind. But my point is that regardless, they can figure out a different way.
I don't think it has anything to do with lot size. Thought it had to do with how much square footage a specific sign could be on a building, and if you're allowed in 20 square feet, I mean, as an example, that's what you got.
Well, a temporary sign, though, you could have almost anything for a temporary sign. I mean, it's the question I have, Jim, is that if you have like a car dealership where you might have 500-600 foot of frontage, that's a lot different in looks to have feathered signs every 100 feet. I mean, it's just a different look. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying that would be a reasonable argument. But I think our ordinance right now, as it stands right now, there's nothing wrong with it. We simply need to make sure that people are in compliance and or know about it. And to do it in such a way where, the city isn't looking like the bad guy on this whole thing. Because we're not. And it's not our fault. It's theirs, frankly. But I think it's our job, and the city's job, to educate them as much as possible. And to make them prosperous. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to hurt them.
Could that be done in the way of a form of a welcome packet?
Sure.
Just a nice welcome letter that says these,
Absolutely.
yeah, soften it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And truly welcome them because we love our businesses.
Absolutely. Yeah. From the city council, I don't care who it comes from necessarily. I just think that would be a good way to start. I don't know.
Yeah, we can, I just mentioned to Sue, we could, when they come in for their review process, obviously we advise them then as to what the, the requirements are going to be for the signage, but even on the other end, talking about the businesses who've been here for a long time, we've already talked internally about just reaching out to the chamber, and obviously they're the easiest way to get to the businesses, so we can get out to them that way.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the DDA because that is Lowell. Only the chamber is a little bit broader, but the chamber is fine too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, they have the easiest way to get to them would be through the
It's
chamber.
through the chamber. Do it that way. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think I would go with put a little weight behind it. Put the city council, yourself, DDA, police, whoever. I mean, I put a little weight behind it at least to make them, pay attention.
Currently, aren't all people that are complained against, isn't that handled through the police department
Yes.
now?
Zoning complaints are handled through the police department.
So if nobody complains, you,
Yeah, well, obviously it was brought up before city council, so, you know, I mean,
I mean, we get calls in the city hall too,
it's just time.
but yeah.
I think that would be worth a try before amending an ordinance at this point. I mean, that would be my best guess. Commissioners, feel the same way? Okay. Sue, does that help answer the
Yes,
question?
yes, yeah.
Okay, let's try that. If compliance doesn't come in, then we'll, I guess, look at it further. But at this point, we'll consider it. I would urge all of the commission and the city staff to look at that master plan and look at that chapter 3, the goals and objectives. That's really kind of the key one. The rest of it is in the hands of these guys, frankly. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's a lot like the zoning ordinance. There's certain things we can do. Other stuff, it's a waste of our time. So I'd rather see it go that way. Staff, any reports?
I have nothing further to report other than the recent updates on your report that was in front of you. We do have a couple more houses that are going to be going up in the Highland Hill area.
Are they putting them on stilts on top of each other over there? That's cool. That's great news.
Maybe a lot.
I think they're pretty well filled.
I take it you got your printer fixed?
Pardon?
You got your printer fixed?
Not yet. It went down again this afternoon.
I can't even log on. You send it to me, but the Wi-Fi is either not on in here or something. But this won't, it's a Wi-Fi connection.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a call from Betsy.
All right. I'll check with Betsy too.
Yeah.
Mike? John? Dave?
All good?
Jim?
I feel fulfilled today. I feel good.
Good.
Nothing else.
Good.
I'm good.
Alan?
I'm good.
Marty?
I'm awesome.
Hey,
Nothing else from us.
we didn't confuse you?
Nope.
Thank
Easy
you
one
for,
today.
thank you for helping us out tonight, Joe. Appreciate you coming. Any other questions? Sue, you're all set on our schedule as far as where we're at?
Yes.
No, we're not going to be here next month.
We will not, no meeting in July, correct?
Mhm.
No meeting in July.
Unless something special comes up. Yes.
There's an emergency, in which case Jim is going to handle it. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:23. Or actually 7:28, sorry.
No second. Any objections? We stand adjourned. Thank you.